The war had lasted 140 cycles. The crimson seas of Vallis Prime boiled with the blood of two civilizations, one of metal, one of flesh. And at its center stood Queen Seraphine Vera, last of the Noctirii, the immortal vampire race that had ruled the outer systems for millennia. Once, her empire stretched across 12 suns. Now it was a shattered constellation, consumed by a human rebellion that refused to die. Seraphine knelt amid the ruins of her citadel, her obsidian armor cracked, her silver hair matted with black ichor. The sound of collapsing spires echoed like the death knell of gods. She pressed a trembling hand against her heart, a heart that had beaten for 10,000 years, and felt it stutter. Her blood, rich with ancient nanites and alien genes, pulsed erratically beneath her translucent skin. The poison the humans had unleashed, a weapon that nullified immortality, was working. Above her the sky burned. The solar vanguard, the human fleet, poured fire into Vallis Prime's atmosphere, turning the once eternal night into a storm of fire and ruin. She stumbled toward her throne room, every step agony. Her crimson eyes flickered, their inner light dimming. There, amid shattered glass and molten stone, stood her last loyal general, Kael Varen, a hybrid born of both species. His loyalty had been forged in blood and betrayal, for he had once been human. "Your Majesty," Kael rasped, kneeling before her. His armor was broken, his weapon shattered. "The vanguard is breaching the gates. You must flee." Seraphine looked down at him, at the one she had once called her favorite, perhaps her only companion. "There is nowhere left to flee," she whispered, her voice like the wind over a grave. Kael hesitated, then offered her a small, glowing vial, a memory seed. "At least preserve yourself," he said. "Your consciousness can survive within it until another vessel is found. The Noctirii will not die with you." But she only smiled faintly, a cruel, beautiful smile. "And wake in a world that no longer remembers me. No, Kael. Let oblivion take its due." Outside, the final bombardment began. The citadel trembled. Kael reached for her, but she raised a hand, her power still enough to stop him mid-motion. "Go," she commanded. "Live among them. Hide what you are. Perhaps one day the stars will remember." Then, as the ceiling caved in and the world burned, Queen Seraphine closed her eyes, ready to die. And in the silence that followed, the last light of Vallis Prime went out. To the awakening. Cold. That was the first thing she felt. Not the clean, eternal cold of the void, but a damp, earthly chill, the kind that clings to human air. Seraphine gasped. Her lungs burned, her heart pounded. Too fast, too fragile. The ancient rhythm of her immortal blood was gone. She felt the thud of mortality in her chest. When her eyes opened, she did not see the stars of Vallis Prime or the shattered towers of her empire. Instead, she saw a low ceiling of cracked plaster, a flickering fluorescent light, and beside her, a human man. He sat in a worn chair, head bowed, hands clasped as if in prayer. His clothes were stained with grease and blood, and his eyes, when he looked up, were a stormy gray. "You're awake," he said quietly. Seraphine tried to move. Pain shot through her limbs. She was wrapped in coarse blankets, her body trembling. "Where am I?" she croaked, her voice raw. "Earth," he said. "You're in my workshop, outside what's left of New Boston." Earth. The name hit her like a memory half forgotten. Humanity's homeworld. She had scorched its moon once, during the early wars. "How?" she began, then stopped. He reached out cautiously, offering her a cup of water. "You fell from the sky 2 nights ago," he said. "In a capsule, looked ancient. I dragged you out before the scavengers did. Seraphine took the cup. Her hand shook. The water tasted bland, lifeless, yet somehow intoxicating. Who are you? She asked. He hesitated. Elias Thorne, he said. Mechanic. Salvage. Nobody important. She looked at him, her crimson eyes faintly glowing in the dim light. You saved me, she murmured. Why? Elias shrugged, his gaze distant. Didn't seem right to let someone die alone. For a long moment she said nothing. Her instincts screamed at her to kill him, to drain the life from his body, to taste his blood and feel her strength return. But something in his voice, the raw, quiet kindness, stayed her hand. So instead she asked, What year is this? Elias frowned. It's 3129. Her breath caught. Nearly 12 centuries since the fall of Vallis Prime. The galaxy had moved on. She was a ghost of a forgotten empire. And yet she was alive. 3. The New World. Elias' workshop sat on the edge of a ruined megacity. Beyond its rusted doors lay endless stretches of dust and metal, the skeletons of skyscrapers piercing a sky forever tinted by chemical storms. Humanity had survived, barely, after the wars that had toppled both her kind and their machines. Over the weeks that followed, Seraphine learned to walk again, to breathe this polluted air, to live inside a body stripped of its godhood. She discovered scars on her wrists where machines had fused her alien essence into human flesh. Her blood was weaker, diluted. Her reflection, once radiant and terrible, was now pale, almost fragile. But Elias treated her like a person, not a relic. He taught her to fix engines, to weld, to patch power cells. He showed her the markets where survivors traded scrap for food, and the underground shelters where people whispered about old wars and forgotten queens. Do they remember the Noctirii? She asked one evening, as they watched the smog-red sunset through a cracked window. Elias thought for a moment. Only in myths, he said. Stories told to scare children. Alien vampires who drank the stars. She almost smiled. Then the dead truly are forgotten. He looked at her, curiosity flickering in his eyes. You talk like you knew them. I did, she said softly. Once. She told him nothing more. Not yet. But that night, as she lay awake on the cot he had given her, she felt something she hadn't felt in 10,000 years. Loneliness. And something else. A faint, impossible warmth whenever he spoke to her, whenever his hands brushed hers by accident. It was absurd. She was a creature of conquest, of cold intellect and eternal hunger. Love was a weakness she had discarded long before his species learned to write. And yet, when he smiled, the ruins didn't seem so empty. For the blood hunger. It began subtly. A dizziness in the mornings. A faint tremor in her hands. Then came the dreams, the scent of blood, the pulse of stars, the taste of iron on her tongue. She woke one night with her fangs, faint but still sharp, buried in the back of her wrist. Her own blood trickled down her arm, glowing faintly blue. Elias stood in the doorway, watching her. I know what you are, he said quietly. Seraphine froze. He stepped closer, unafraid. When I found you, your capsule had writing on it. Volition script. Took me days to translate. Said, containment, Queen Seraphine Vera. She turned away, shame burning in her chest. Then you know why you should have left me to die. Maybe, Elias said. But I didn't. She laughed bitterly. Do you understand what I am? I've slaughtered billions. I drank suns dry. I am death given form. Elias met her gaze. Then maybe death deserves a second chance too. For a long moment neither spoke. Then, unable to resist, she whispered, You have no idea what you're offering. But she was starving. Her cells screamed for energy, for life. Without it, she would wither again. He stepped closer. "Then take what you need," he said. She shook her head violently. "No. If I taste you, I won't stop." But Elias simply extended his wrist. "I trust you." It broke her. She moved faster than she thought she could, a blur of shadow and fire. Her lips found his skin, her fangs pierced his flesh, and the taste, the pure human life, flooded her senses. It was warmth, like memory. She saw fragments of his mind. A boy watching his world burn, a man burying his family, the quiet ache of years spent alone. His sorrow was as deep as the void, and yet his compassion shone through it all. When she finally pulled back, trembling, Elias sagged against her. She caught him, holding him close. Her tears, something she hadn't shed in millennia, fell onto his shoulder. "I didn't mean to," he smiled weakly. "You stop. That's enough." She cradled him as he drifted to sleep. And for the first time since Valus Prime fell, Queen Seraphine Vera wept like a mortal. The return of the vanguard months passed. They built a life of sorts, quiet, hidden. Seraphine learned to control her hunger, taking only what she needed from stored plasma or synthesized blood. She began to dream again, not of conquest but of redemption. Then the sky burned once more. A ship descended through the smog clouds, sleek, silver, unmistakably alien. Its insignia glowed with the emblem of the old solar vanguard. Elias saw it first, his expression grim. "They're scanning the surface, searching for something." Seraphine's heart turned to ice. "They've found me." "How?" "The capsule," she said. "It must have sent a signal when it opened." Within hours, drones swarmed the ruins. Their voices boomed through the air, metallic and cold. "Surrender the entity designated Seraphine Vera. By order of the Terran Dominion." Elias grabbed his rifle. "We can fight." She shook her head. "No. You'll die. Then we run." She looked at him, at the man who had shown her mercy, who had given her a reason to live. For once, she wished she were still a god. She could have crushed these invaders with a thought. But her powers were faint now, echoes of what they once were. The drones closed in. Plasma fire lit the streets. Elias pulled her behind a wall, returning fire. One shot grazed his arm. He didn't flinch. "You could leave me," he shouted over the roar. "You could survive if you go now." She stared at him, and something within her broke free. "No," she said. "Not this time." The air shimmered. Power surged through her veins. Ancient, furious, unstoppable. The hybrid blood she had stolen from Elias, mixed with her own, awakened something new. Her eyes burned crimson. Her shadow stretched across the street, vast and winged. She rose, levitating above the ground, her voice echoing like thunder. "I am Seraphine Vera, Queen of the Fallen, Heir of the Stars. And you will not take him from me." The drones hesitated, then fired. She unleashed her power. A storm of energy erupted from her hands, disintegrating the machines in an instant. The sky itself cracked with light. When it was over, the ruins were silent again. Elias crawled from cover, staring at her. You could have killed them all." She landed softly beside him, her strength already fading. "I only did what I had to." He caught her as she stumbled. Her skin was cold, her breathing shallow. "You're bleeding," he said. "It's nothing," she whispered. "I used the last of my power." He held her close. "You'll be okay. We'll find a way." But she smiled faintly, pressing a hand to his cheek. "No, Elias. You already did." Her eyes fluttered closed, and for a moment he thought she was gone. But then faintly she stirred. Her voice, barely audible, whispered, "You gave me back my heart." She fell into his embrace. And the alien vampire queen, who had once ruled galaxies, slept peacefully in the arms of a single human man. 6. The new dawn. Weeks later, word spread across the wastelands of a miracle. A woman who glowed with starlight, who healed the sick and brought water from poisoned ground. Seraphine lived, though changed. Her powers no longer devoured life. They nurtured it. Elias built solar wells using her energy, restoring what the wars had destroyed. Together they became legend, the mechanic and the queen, rebuilding the world one fragment at a time. Sometimes at night she would sit beneath the shattered sky, gazing at the stars that once feared her name. "Do you miss it?" Elias asked one evening. "The power, the empire." She smiled softly. "Once I thought eternity was everything. But now," she reached for his hand, "now I know the worth of a single lifetime." He looked at her, the woman who had been a god, and saw only warmth. And when the dawn finally broke, the first true sunrise the world had seen in centuries, it painted them both in gold. For the first time in 10,000 years, Queen Seraphine Vera did not fear the light.